Hi, welcome back to the channel. So I'm still recording this again from an outing that I'm at, and there's a little bit of background noise. It's just a water fountain. That's fine. I don't think it's a big deal. Anyway, next today we will be talking about the publishing. What I learned about publishing. So, as a recap for those who are bumping into this for the first time, I'm doing a series just explaining about my publishing journey, because I have ended up publishing three books, three titles, and they're very different, and the journey and the experience has been very different. So the first one was basically just explaining in summary about the three books. The second one was about my inspiration, and I will put the links in the bio for you to be able to see all this. And the third one, which is this one, is about the publishing and what I wish I knew, what I wish I did not know. And then the final one is going to be about the selling, and that is going to come. Probably going to record it, and then we'll see. So the publishing. So the thing is, I did not set out to be a writer. I was writing for myself. I was writing just because I like writing, and I had wanted to just keep things. So it was more like journaling, except it was journaling with stories, and like the fiction ones, they were just things that I was writing because I wanted to write. And then a friend told me that he thinks I should publish the story because he likes the way I tell him stories. And I said, okay, let's see how that happens. And he's usually one of those friends that I don't like saying no to. And every time he suggests something, I go ahead and do it. And so I did. So I didn't do any research. I sent a message to a few friends who I knew who published books and asked them if they had any connections. They sent me details of different publishers. I contacted them, and the first one who responded quite well. By the time the other ones were responding, they were responding a bit. I had already decided, actually. They probably responded just as well, but I really liked the first one, that I never felt the need to explore the others. So that's the first thing. I would say, if you're writing a book, start by knowing who you want to publish it. Approach them while you're still writing it, and see what they can suggest. In my case, Between Two Worlds, which was done by a publisher, I sent it to them almost, well, it was fully done. There was very little that they could change in it because it was already done. They came back with suggestions for names, and that's how we ended up with Between Two Worlds, because my first title, my working title for it, was Family Secrets. Now I see Between Two Worlds is so much better. The cover, we went back and forth on the cover. The only thing I told them was I wanted something that showed Nairobi and Geneva, and I didn't know how that was going to look, and they came back and forth with a few covers, and while coming back and forth with the covers, I chose whatever I chose, and then we went with it. They did the formatting, they did the editing, sent me a few drafts back asking me if I was okay with how things looked and stuff like that. They helped me with creating my Amazon account. We published it on Amazon, and they put it for me on they did everything for me, basically. And they found for me a publisher a printing, whatever package they gave me included printing of a few copies of it. And that was very convenient for me, because then I did not need to order on Amazon and then figure out how to send them to Kenya. So this was great for me, and it worked out really, really well for that time. However, I would also say that, it did work out well, and I ended up printing. But what I have learned from this is when you choose the publisher you're going to go with, because later on I came to find out quite a lot of things that I could have used them for, except I was also on a very tight budget. This was, as I mentioned, something that was more a suggestion. I did not really think I wanted to go very deep into it, so I did not want to invest money into it. Looking back, what I could have done was I would have also put them in charge of the marketing. They would have prepared my book launch, they would have prepared some videos that I can use online. They would have done for me some social media outreach. But these were not things that I considered at the time. And so, he later reached out to me and told me that those were things that they could do if I was interested. But by then, I was like, you know what? Let's just wait and see. And I still might do it. A book is it's never too late to launch a book. It's not like everybody has read my book. I bet people watching this, majority of them have not read my book. So there still can be a launch and everything, and we can still do a social media buzz. Except now I wish I would have done it earlier and everything. Okay? So that's Between Two Worlds. So if you go with a publisher, find out every single thing that they have to offer. Check with different publishers, see their prices with the full package. But also know that if you decide to go this route, you will have a little bit, you will kind of have to let things take the course they take. If your publisher thinks that the best approach would be for you to have speaking engagements left, right, and center, they know best because they kind of have experience with whatever it is, and so you would have to do it. One of my advantages, as I've just said, I am now at the part where I'm thinking, I don't know why I have hiccups, so I'm sorry if I'm hiccuping. But I am at the place where now I'm thinking, maybe I could have done this different, maybe I should have done that different, and I still have that opportunity to do a few things different. And I can always go back to them and add things and stuff like that. But of course, if you ask for things as a package, it's always cheaper than if you go back and forth and keep adding things to the shopping cart. Second one was the silent backbone. So while the Between Two Worlds was being done by that, I had already been working on just putting together all these stories for the silent backbone. And when I told somebody that, now I have an Amazon account and everything, she told me, you know what, you can actually just self-publish on Amazon. Now, very many people do that, and it works for quite a number of people. But honestly, it's very time consuming. It really is. And it took me so long to be able to even find things, and I'm not a creative person. So even the covers, I went back and forth on what the covers should look like. And so many times I had to print a copy so that I see what it looks like. And it was, I don't know, it just it was hard. If you're very creative and you know exactly what you want, then it's fine. You can go ahead and do that. But I think it's, for me, self-publishing, go down that route if you actually know what you want. Now, the advantage of it was The Silent Backbone is a book that, well, it's necessary. Okay, one, the fact that I self-published means I could put it at the price that I wanted, which was actually going to be a very low price because it was something that I felt everybody in the administrative field should be able to afford. And I didn't want it to be something that can be that only somebody who has a high-paying job can afford. I needed it to be something that anybody who wants to have access to it can actually afford to have access to it. So I did go back and forth on whether I should involve a publisher, but then I had to offset those costs, which was going to mean I needed to put the price at a certain level, and it just wasn't worth it. Luckily for me, because it was something that I already had a ready market for it, because as an assistant, I am in associations for assistants, and I am in, I'm in quite a number of networks of assistants. The minute I told them, listen, I have a book, it's only €5, go ahead, get it, and stuff like that, so many of them wanted it, and so many of them could relate to it, and they were taking notes on it and giving me suggestions and things like that. And so it did come in part A and part B, and then I did a combined book of both of them. And I found that people really, really appreciated this book. And it's been selling itself. And I know I said that the publishers would be the ones to tell you what to do, left, right, and center. But then something interesting with the silent backbone, it's kind of taken on a life of its own. I have found myself being approached by people who are not even in the administrative field, who've read it, and asking me if I would be willing to mentor their assistant, or even just to talk to somebody, a friend they know who's been through stuff. And so this has kind of led to a few side hustles, which was nice. And it was very empowering for me, because then I had to actually take a course in coaching so that I don't mislead people, and get a certification and everything. And so it's been a journey. As I do your hair, I did a bit of both. First, I approached a publisher, and then I kind of changed my mind. And after they had done half the work, and then I went ahead and self-published, which is a mess. But it's a very good book. It's a story that every mother wants their daughter to know. I mean, it's not, well, it's not really a story that every mother wants their daughter to know, but it's a story that every mother should want to learn how to talk to their daughter. So that was an interesting one. But anyway, so we will talk about the Between Two Worlds and the Silent Backbone, because between As I Do Your Hair is not really a good template to go with. So if I was to publish another book, first, as I said in my other video, if you've watched it, is I found writing Silent Backbone quite easier, because the motivation came naturally, and I find writing fiction is quite demanding, because I have to be very creative, and my creativity apparently has a limit. I did not know that before I started. I thought I was a very creative person, but no, I'm not. And so if I was to write another book, it would probably be a memoir, or it would be a self-help book, and I would definitely be going the route of a publisher. I would probably use the same publisher I had, only because I'm already in contact with them and I really like them, and so I probably would be going with that one. And that's exactly what I think for now I would be my take on this. And if you are looking at, okay, you have a book, or you're thinking about writing a book, first thing is decide how it's going to be published. If you're going to self-publish, figure out, there are so many YouTube channels you can watch about how to format, how to create a KDP account. There are so many different places. You don't even have to use Amazon if you do not want to use Amazon for whatever reason. But there are so many other forums where you can self-publish. Figure out what costs what. All these different forums have options. You can choose to have somebody edit for you. You can choose to have the cover done for you. You can look at where your limitations are and get something done. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention. For the Silent Backbone, because I was taking stories that I had been writing over the years and compiling them, I found an editor who could read through and make sure that what I'm doing actually flows. And one of the things that she noticed was the tenses and the person. So it was, sometimes I was talking in first person, sometimes I was talking in third person. But this was because it was depending on where I had taken it. It was more of a copy paste kind of job. And And so, things like this, when I was reading it, I wasn't noticing that. And I am somebody who actually edits for others. But when I'm reading it, because I know what I'm talking about, you can't edit, you can't self edit. I don't think you can. Maybe some people can, but I don't think you can. I don't think it's a good idea because you already know what you want to say. So sometimes it's already in your head. It's always good to have a second eye. And so she managed to go through it with me and she did it. And we've been talking about it ever since. Second thing is I loved and continue to love the fact that the one that I self-published actually ended up doing really well, and because everything is quite because everything is exactly the way I wanted it, there was no external influence. I find it easier to talk about. I love the story of Between Two Worlds. Totally love the story. I think the heroine was a great woman who had very unfortunate circumstances and life just happened for her. I love As I Do Your Hair because that's another woman who life just happened. Okay, she made a lot. She was a mess, but things just happened. But the silent backbone, it's something that I can talk about for hours. So like I said in the motive in the inspiration video, it's very easy to write. If you're a writer, it's very easy to write. But then the problem comes in the selling and in the distribution. So if you are going to choose a publisher, make sure you and your publisher are on the same tone. Now, because it was a fiction book, did not really matter to me because it was fiction, not fiction book. Because it was fiction, it did not really matter to me what the publisher was going to change, because I mean, these are not real people. It's not something that's happening in real life. It doesn't affect somebody's life. But if you have like the silent backbone, I am giving tips and coping mechanisms that I have been able to give people, and people have been able to use it. And some of them, like for example, meditation is one of the tips that I give, and I say, listen, you can meditate, you can do yoga, you can do whatever it is you want. Now, if I was to have a publisher whose beliefs don't align with this, probabilities are high that we will have back and forths which are not necessary. So unless you are willing to really be flexible, if it's something that you're very passionate about, and I think this is why, if you're, for example, writing a memoir, be very careful who you choose as your publisher. And that's why I'm saying I like the company that I used, the publishers I used, and I will link them in the channel. They're called Zaram Publishers. They're based in Kenya. And I like them. And if I was to publish a memoir, I would go with them only because they respected my limitations. As much as there were no, they came back to me and asked for my opinion. Like when the title was not good, they just came back and told me, listen, this title, it's not very catchy. Now that we've read the story, we think this. They gave me 2 titles and told me this 2 might be something. And then I went and I was like, oh, okay, with a strong recommendation for Between Two Worlds. And I was like, actually, that's actually true. I would never have thought of that. So be very careful who you choose if you decide to use a publisher. If you decide to self-publish, just know that at some point, and you know what, you can actually self-publish and then later on decide that, you know what, my book is not selling enough, or my book has sold enough and I want to add some chapters, or I want to republish and use a publisher and change some things in it. We've seen books that are, which version, and you can always do that. So I hope that this has been a good thing to talk about, a good explanation on how to choose publishers. And I think that it's absolutely great to do it. Oh, by the way, the cover for As I Do Your Hair was done by a young man who I use for quite a lot of help with writing and things like that. And so he did the cover for me because I asked him to do it. And this was because I tried very hard to use like the software for Amazon for the cover, and it just wasn't giving me what I wanted. And any other covers that other people suggested were just not happening. And he came up with this, and I really liked it, so I went with it. Of course, we had a lot of back and forths. He's not a professional. That was the first one he was doing, so there were quite a lot of back and forths. And I think even the first few I did not like them. But well, here we are. Okay, so I absolutely love that I've done this, and I will be doing the last one, which is about the marketing of the different books, what I have learned about marketing books. And I look forward to doing that hopefully very soon, and then so that all these videos can come one after the other, and then there's not much waiting. In the meantime, I have put in the description box where to find those books, where to and the link to the publisher, and then you can also see the other videos that I linked to it. Okay, so thank you and have a lovely day. Bye bye.